Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of The Terror Live, a Korean thriller from 2013 that stars Ha Jung-woo. And this is one of those entertaining suspense films that tends to fly under the radar. I don't hear it mentioned that often, so I wanted to cover it here and recommend it. So our protagonist is a man named Yoon, played by Ha Jung-woo. He was once a top national news anchor, but he got demoted to radio news. And one day, a call comes in during his radio show threatening to blow up Mapo Bridge. He brushes it off as a prank call, but the bridge ends up getting blown to pieces just a few minutes later. Now, to get his career back on track, he tries to grab an exclusive interview with the perpetrator, who is making demands and threatening to detonate more bombs. But our lead character is forced to balance a number of things during these interviews, including personal safety, public relations, government interference, and business rivalries. Now, the first thing you'll notice about The Terror Live is that it's essentially a one-room film, meaning that virtually all of the character interaction takes place in the broadcast studio. And these kinds of movies can be difficult to pull off. In my opinion, the two most important aspects of a film like this are the script writing and the pacing. But fortunately, The Terror Live is a nicely written film and does not waste time. I mean, the first bomb goes off within the opening 5 minutes, so situation escalates very quickly. A lot of quick thinking and adaptation by our protagonist as events play out. It immediately establishes suspense and maintains it throughout. And the fact that events play out in real time also put a lot of, or it adds a sense of urgency to the film, which is really, it never dissipates. This was a very tense viewing experience. Our protagonist is put under a lot of pressure as well as the film moves along. This reminded me a little bit of Midnight FM, if you've ever seen that one. If you've never seen Midnight FM, check out my review of it. It's one of my favorite thrillers of all time. This movie kind of reminded me of that, and because that film took place in a radio DJ booth for the most part. So yeah, these films kind of mirror each other a little bit. The script in this one is intelligent, has its fair share of surprises. There are some nuances that will make the viewer think after the film ends. And yes, some moments in this film are genuinely surprising. This movie's, it's got some guts. It does. Now, Ha Jung-woo gives a fantastic performance. Not easy playing a character who is under constant duress. Depending on the actor, it could quickly turn into like an over-the-top performance, but Ha Jung-woo does an excellent job of kind of reflecting the stress of the situation, while at the same time kind of showing us this character's strengths as an interviewer and news anchor. So this is actually one of my favorite performances by this actor. His character's pretty well written too. Like, early on he considers calling the cops, after the bomb goes off, to tell them the information he knows, but then he kind of decides against it in favor of locking down an exclusive interview with the bad guy. And then he uses this exclusive interview against his boss, his own boss, as leverage to get promoted. So he calls his boss and he's like, hey, listen, you know what I mean? I know you demoted me like a few years ago. Well, I got this hot story. If you want it, I better get a promotion. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of like backstabbing in terms of like the business world in this as well, which is pretty interesting. Our lead character is kind of an opportunistic, maybe cutthroat character, but he does weigh in the moral implications of his actions too as the film rolls along. So it's good stuff. Another actor that you may recognize is Lee Kyung-young, who has been in a ton of Korean films over the years. You'll recognize him, and he's good in this as well. Now, while the characters are kind of scrambling to deal with this villain, the film also touches upon the everyday frustrations of the average, working man, as well as the government's inability to sympathize with your average everyday voter. So that's in this. And the runtime in this film, 98 minutes, especially short for a modern Korean film. But I'm telling you, it helps the pacing a lot. There's not a lot of dead weight in this film at all. The music is rhythmic and provides a sense of anxiety in the background, so it's good. So really, there's not a whole lot of bad things to say about this one. I remember enjoying The Terror Live back in the day, so I was kind of wondering if it would hold up. And I am pleased to say that it definitely holds up. This is a very good film. I strongly recommend it, especially if you like Korean thrillers. It's currently available on Region 4 DVD with English subtitles. That's the easiest way to find it. And as always, we will see you next time.